Oi, what's the best game where you get to eat pie? What's the best game where you play a dead guy? Aye, you'll find out in VG247's podcast. Here, what's the best game where you swing from a rope? And what's the best game where you batter the Pope? Assassin's Creed 2. Like I said, you will find out in this here podcast. Welcome to VG247's Best Games Ever podcast, where we attempt to find the best game within a really specific category. For example, this week we're looking for the best free game that you would pay for, inspired of course by the recent free drop of certified banger 4-player co-op spook 'em up content warning, inspired also by the fact that this is the first episode where we have a subscription tier where if you're a paid VG247 subscriber you get an extended version of this podcast where everyone gets to bully me at the end. Head to VG247.com and click support us for more details on that. Did we all grab content warning when it dropped?
Yeah.
I think all of us were immediately like, right. But once again, I was like, I'm adding something to my Steam library that I'll never get around to, but it's nice to just see it there, isn't it? You know,
for sure. I mean, it's like a fantastic marketing strategy. Like the game's out for free, and then like 70,000, 80,000 people got it, and then the next day,
6 million people got it.
But then the next day, concurrents were up to like hundreds of thousands, right?
Yeah,
so
I think it was on like 60k yesterday when I checked.
Oh,
that was just
makes
during the
sense.
middle of the day, though.
That makes sense.
during the middle, like when people were working.
So it's like it drops and a bunch of people grab it.
Yeah.
And they're going to their friends, have you played this content warning? It's great. And they're like, oh shit, it's not free anymore, but it's only £8. Oh, I'll just do it. And then because they've got FOMO. Oh, actually, that is genius.
It's almost like speedrunning word of mouth. The thing that happens like organically. You know what I mean? Like the thing that happens organically or like over time. Like, do you know how Helldivers 2 kept just creeping up and up and up and up and up and up, even though people couldn't play it? Because every time people play, you're like, oh, you need to get this.
It's mad, isn't it? It's like, how do you make this work? Well, firstly, you've got to make a really good game because like the best marketing in the world can.
It's the easy part,
right? Yeah. Okay, cool. Right. So the topic is best free game that you would pay for. Now, we've had to stipulate that we don't mean free to pay games because otherwise that kind of makes it a little bit too easy. Like basically what I'm saying is no, you can't just say Genshin Impact, right? Or Honking Star Rail or whatever.
Honking Star Rail.
Yeah. What you're saying is that any game that has been free.
Yeah. As in,
okay.
like, it's like a game that has at some point or is currently like a free, fully featured, probably single player game that could well be something you pay money for, but it just isn't right now. So I've got a pick that's very me for later on, and you'll find out what that is if you're paying for the podcast, and if not, and then you just shit out your luck. You're not going to find out which Elder Scrolls game I'm going to say later.
Right, yeah.
So, okay, I want to hear from Connor first, because let's get Connor out of the way first, because there's a lot of grot on Steam that you can download for nothing.
Well, it's not a grot game, you know?
Okay.
It's the first paid version of the podcast. I was like, we need to find something special. So I did go to like a bunch of shady shit. Nothing really sort of seemed worth it. That's the problem, right? I guess because there's sort of like a dedicated market for fucking creepy sex games that you have to like charge for it in order to make a living, right?
Yeah.
So that it didn't really fit. Then my mind went back to perhaps one of the best free offerings of a game ever. And it was totally intentional, but it still counts. Take your mind back to 2018, right? Before all the horrible stuff happened. Mm-hmm. You're sitting at home, you're excited for big releases, and a demo is released for a certain game called Yakuza 6. You know?
Right.
Yakuza, brilliant demo, brilliant game. And it turns out, if you downloaded that demo, it gave access to the entire game for free.
Oh, yes.
The entire featured Yakuza 6 for free on the PlayStation Store. And obviously, soon after it was released, they were like, hang on, wait, that's not, we need to charge like $60 for this.
Yeah.
And it was taken down, but it was free. And for those who don't know, Yakuza series, fantastic sort of action RPG, series before it went turn-based Yakuza 6. Play
The Like a Dragon.
Dragon series. I apologize, but like, it's brilliant. You know, you play a wholesome dad trying to fight for his family at the orphanage,
Right.
driving taxis and punching people. It's dope. The game is really sick. Yakuza is brilliant, and everyone knows Yakuza is brilliant. So, you know, I think for free, that's a pretty good offer. And it then was sold for like a bunch of money. It's a AAA game for free.
What I need to establish, Connor, is when this was available for free, was this just like the demo, when you downloaded the demo, that it was just the full game?
Yeah.
Or did downloading the demo make the full game available to you on your account?
The demo was the full game.
Right, okay.
So you downloaded the game,
yeah,
and it was free, and it was the entire game.
So, but presumably, once this was discovered, an update was issued that shut it off, right?
Well, they took it down.
Yeah.
It was a limited thing,
right?
And then they took it away.
What I want to establish
and then it became paid.
Yeah.
Right?
And what I want to establish is if you were playing Yakuza 6 for free,
right,
after downloading the demo, and you were like, right, was presumably the noise that you were making at the time,
right? Yeah, for sure. What
I'm getting at is they didn't honor this, right? It wasn't like, well, you got us. You guys can keep Yakuza 6 for free and not pay for it, and we'll just have to turn the money on for everyone after you. Or was it a case that like, well, actually, you're not getting it for free? Give it.
They got it for free.
But they didn't did they get it for free?
While the demo was up on the store, you could download it and get it for free.
Did they get to keep it after it was taken down?
Yeah, once you downloaded the demo, you got the demo. And then within 24 hours, it was taken down. But before you say, that's not intended.
When you say taken down, the people who were already playing it for free, could they continue paying it for free afterwards?
Yes, unless they turned off their PlayStation.
Well, they turn off the internet. Does it require an internet connection?
It's a single player game, so no.
Okay.
No, but some of these demos sometimes require internet connection because of this very reason. Because sometimes they screw up.
Not as far as I know. If you know someone from Sega, you can phone up right now and check.
This happened with Crackdown 2.
Did it?
When the demo went up for Crackdown 2, it was accidentally the entire game.
I feel like Sega made this mistake with another
I'm
thing.
going to pause. Kels, if you rat me out, which you're currently trying to do, you're looking this up right now. Look, you could download the demo. It was the full game. And within 24 hours, maybe it wasn't freely available anymore. But content warning is the same thing. It was free for 24 hours.
I'm proud of you for admitting it.
And then it was no longer free.
Yeah.
It fits within the same... sort of avenue. And look, I understand brilliant ideas, interesting angles sometimes are hard to live, with if you weren't the one part of them. Totally understand that. Like, the jealousy is palpable through the monitor. But the game was free. It's a full price game. It's a banger game.
Yeah.
It fits it fits what was offered in the question of the podcast.
Okay. So we are defining free for your pick. And I'm not making any value judgment. I just want to be clear. We're defining it as a corporate ineptitude that enabled theft temporarily.
It's not theft. They offered it for free. They listen. If someone if someone leaves some old furniture outside the front of their house, right. Everyone knows that you can just take that furniture because it's been left. It's like, take it. It's not. It's it's yours. If anyone wants this, that's a whole thing, right?
No, because
Sega left Yakuza 6
in that scenario
on the digital roadside.
No, I can't let you get because
you can't let me get away with it.
Sega didn't mean to give that stuff away.
In the free cycle scenario, what you're saying is that it's still perfectly okay to take the chair or whatever. If it's got a sign around it that says, "Please deposit £60 in my letterbox before you take
no.
If
you put old furniture outside the front of your house,
this is absurd, Connor. It's not old furniture. It's
the accepted understanding is that you can just take it for free because they've already got a new bed.
This is just
too fair.
No one has ever left £60 of cash outside someone's house on the street.
Absolutely,
that is nonsense. Sega gave the game away for free. They gave the game away for free.
They did not. They didn't give
gave it away for free.
Right, okay.
And people, righteous, working class, honest people, downloaded it and enjoyed Yakuza 6, an amazing game.
You're describing...
Can I ask?
And it was later not available for free, fine, like many games aren't,
Connor,
like content warning.
Right, I need to stop you there and bring Kelsey in. Sorry, Kelsey,
can I ask, how long is Yakuza 6?
It's like 1,000,000 hours. Like,
do you think anyone will have been able to finish it before it was taken down?
People did, because there were like spoilers of the ending, like from like before launch, because people got to the ending. Like that's the whole problem with it. That's why it was such a disaster for Sega.
Turned the Wi-Fi off and kept the PlayStation on, I guess. Yeah, I suppose there are people sad enough to do that. It was possible to complete it, I guess.
It was possible to complete Yakuza.
You've had way more than your 5 minutes. And
well, it's your fault.
You had way more than your 5 minutes and you're getting cantankerous, so we're going to have to move on. All right, let's move on to Sharif. Because I don't know what your pick is, but you said in the Slack earlier that you had to tone it down for libel. So
tone it back up.
Yeah, tone it back up.
I was going into this when I was thinking about this because I didn't know I was going to be on this episode. So I was probably thinking of some dickhead PC bullshit that I was on because I play a lot of PC
dickhead
games.
PC bullshit.
So it was going to be.
That's a good comment.
Well, it was going to be like, oh, this used to be a mod, and then it turned into a standalone thing, and then it became a thing. Where it's like I was going to pick like something like Neo Tokyo, what the hell, Neo Tokyo, or Insurgency, or any of the classic mods that I played, which technically qualify, even though no one is playing Neo Tokyo now in 2024. But I realized that there's actually a much better fitting example of this. A game that was offered for free, is still free completely. No tricks, no scams, no dunking on whatever, no getting one over on Mr. Sega. My pick is a game called The Looker, which is a parody of a game called The Witness, a puzzle game from 2016. The Looker came out came out in 2022, which is a little late for a parody game. Usually those come out pretty, but as someone who is really, really terrible at puzzles, and not only did I never understand everyone's obsession with The Witness when it came out at the time. Keep in mind, this is a little bit of let me set the stage here for you just a tiny bit. This is the era of indie games that were very much still in their novelty. So indie games, we didn't have the AAA, we didn't have studios that are so well known for high quality games that exist well below the budget of your Call of Duties and your Assassin's Creeds. It was still this, you would hear about an indie game coming out every 6 months and everyone would talk about it because it was the thing. Not like these days, not like where you can turn on Steam and find bangers. And so Jonathan Blow, who had made Braid, the follow-up to that was The Witness. And The Witness is very much basically a puzzle game where it's about perspective and you're connecting dots to try and open doors and unlock things. And it's very much, I, as someone who does not like puzzle games, didn't much care for it. But the thing that really rubbed me the wrong way was how ostentatious it was about its themes and how it was supposedly giving you this idea that you can interpret this however you want, man. That kind of thing. And the reverence that people would talk about, I zoomed out and I took this elevator up and then the whole island was a puzzle and mind-blowing stuff. And people gave Jonathan Blow, in my opinion, a lot of undue praise for their supposed genius in creating this. And so I like The Looker because let me just really quickly.
I'd love to know what the unedited for libel version of this rant was.
I assume it's something along the lines of Jonathan Blow.
I'm not going to repeat that, so that's to make it easier on the legal. For every scene in The Witness where the game tends to come across as more meaningful than it is, the looker is like, takes that, well, it attacks it on two fronts. One, it makes the puzzle unbelievably easy, that it's so funny. And two, it goes out of its way to add this reverence to it that you're like, oh, I'm feeling something. You know how you're watching a scene in a movie and the music swells and oh my God, but you're feeling nothing. It's the same way, and it makes fun of it so well. One of the funniest thing, this is not the result of the game itself, but I just find it very amusing that it has a much better review rating on Steam and almost as many reviews.
God, that is
than
damning, isn't it?
The thing that it's parodying.
Yeah.
The real reason that I'm bringing up the Looker now, well, you can still play this game. It's completely free on Steam. I don't think you need to play The Witness to understand it. If you watch anything from 2016, every person with a microphone who was in games media and had an opinion about The Witness, you could just watch one of those. There's a Joseph Anderson video from, I think, that time. People responding to that video. There are interviews that they did at the time, because Jonathan Blow was an indie
darling
rock star at the time. Yeah. And that was before he got on his anti-vaccine bullshit.
I can tell you who was obsessed with The Witness and who was one of those games media people trumpeting The Witness as a work of genius was our very own Tom Orry. If he was involved in this podcast.
Really?
Wow. I don't think what he'd have to say in response to this bashing of The Witness, because he was obsessed to the point where he had graph paper and stuff. I'm just I liked the sort of the first hour or so, but after a while I'm just I can't play any more puzzles based on the fucking Android unlock screen. I'm done with it. Right. So yeah. All right, okay, let's move on to Kelsey. What have you got for us? What's the best free game that you would pay for?
My free game that I would pay for, albeit I probably won't pay more than a tenner for it, happened to be an April Fool's joke last year, except it wasn't really a joke at all, which I kind of think was the joke in itself. Yeah. So 1st of April last year, I wake up on a Saturday, I have a shower, I go to my computer and turn it on. And what's plastered on the front of Steam? It is the murder of Sonic the Hedgehog. So I immediately took a screenshot of this and sent it to my friends, and we all start, ripping into the fact that Sega have killed off Sonic finally and what have you. And at first, I genuinely thought that this was a joke, that this was some sort of fan-made project that had gone onto Steam and was inevitably going to get taken down. Except it wasn't. You look at the Steam page and it, in fact, was developed and published by Sega. So, obviously, gave it a go. And it is this short visual novel in which there's a murder mystery party for Amy's birthday on this train. And basically Sonic dies, so to speak. And you have to go about through all these different carriages, interrogating all the different characters, which includes Blaze the Cat, who I adore. They don't get enough screen time in the Sonic games, if you ask me. But so you do all that, and obviously Sonic isn't actually dead, but anyone who has played Sonic games in any capacity can probably see where it's going and see that there's a little bit more to it than this murder mystery. But yeah, it's brilliant. It seems like one of those things where it's kind of intended to be played with friends, where you all voice act each of the different characters.
Oh yeah,
but all in all, for a short game that was free, that was launched as a bit of a joke, it's actually really nice.
How long is it?
About 2 hours. I started it last night and finished it this morning.
Okay.
But yeah, no, and it's broken up by little mini games that have actual Sonic gameplay in them. Where you running about catching coins, avoiding traps, and that's what you do during interrogations. It's kind of like Sonic's racing towards a light bulb.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's nice to have that touch where you get to, in between pointing and clicking at stuff, you can actually collect coins and super dash or whatever the hell Sonic does.
Yeah. That's really nice.
Yeah, no. A surprising little treat for Sonic fans, I guess. And I'm not a mega Sonic fan, but I did find it quite amusing. Yeah. It's one of those that I was quite surprised to see that it wasn't super childlike. obviously a kid could play it and get along with it, but there's quite a few like bits of jokes and bits of dialogue in there where it's like, oh, it's actually funny. I'm not cringing. And all the backdrops and stuff are lovely. Like you have little KOs like on posters and playing in like the band in the, like one of the main rooms and stuff like that. There's like references to Super Monkey Ball and what have you.
Yeah.
And it's
I think this has come up on the podcast
Do you-
before, actually.
Yeah.
I think Rebecca submitted it for, I can't remember what topic it was. Yeah, the consensus is just like this was a surprisingly well produced game with a lot
one
of
of the better Sonic games out there. That's for sure.
Every time they
God,
embrace
what a-
the sort of like older audience of Sonic and have a bit of fun with it and like make a bit of jokes, it's always great. Like even some of the I've got like a friend's kid that, like watched the Sonic cartoon shows that is like recently.
That's what I was going to say. When I was playing it, it felt a lot, especially towards the end where there are these sort of, I want to say like comic panels that pop up to tell the story.
Yeah.
It does. It reminded me of the cartoons a whole lot.
It's great.
And I liked that because like I actually watched those growing up. So anything that kind of pays reference to those is like up my alley. But yeah, this is a me and Rebecca game through and through. So that doesn't come as any surprise.
Firstly, I'm going to just disregarding Connor immediately.
What?
Because Connor's basically trying to pass a sort of.
I'm not trying to pass. I asked you what the sort of like
you are trying
what the goalposts were.
No,
and I picked a game that fit within the goalposts. And you're just mad.
Full disclosure for everyone: you asked me on Slack earlier. Well, you basically said I'm picking Yakuza 6 and I was like Yakuza 6, and you were like, yeah, it was like accidentally free at one point, and I was like, all right. I'm not your dad. I'll tell you what to do.
This is what you wrote. It's not an F2P game, just a free game or a game that was once made free.
Yeah.
Like the one from the other day. And that is what you told me. It fits within your goal.
Those are Sharif's words.
If you want to if you want to disqualify me, right?
Yeah.
Or if you want to make me lose, right, that's fine. But make it because Yakuza 6 isn't the best game.
No.
I think the only difference is that
Which you
yours
can't
is
do
not an
because it is.
intentional freebie.
Intentional.
Exactly.
It's not an intentional freebie.
It wasn't intended to be free
doesn't matter.
whatsoever.
It does
doesn't matter.
because by your definition, you could be like, well, I torrented it, so it was free.
No, but it was released by Sega.
Yeah,
Someone leaves their
but they forgot to press the.
if someone leaves their phone on the table and then you come and swipe.
If they say, "Hey, come and get this phone," then then sure.
Technically, at that moment, Sega will have said, "Hey, come and get this demo,
God.
not come and get this full bloody game."
If someone is like,
Connor's
"Hey,"
getting
if
so
someone
animated about it.
is like, if a restaurant is like, "Hey, here's inside this envelope is £5. Take this envelope." And you take the envelope and you walk down the street, and inside the envelope is £50. You've not done anything wrong. You've done nothing wrong.
Once again, an elaborate hypothetical. Like 20 minutes
Another
ago, it was
hypothetical
like,
that some people would argue is wrong as well.
yeah, totally.
Why?
20 minutes ago,
So
it
you
was
have
like,
a
what if
moral obligation.
What if you left
More
the couch outside your house?
to a corporate conglomerate. Oh no, this big company has managed to like accidentally.
No,
it doesn't matter.
Nobody is saying that Sega can't afford to lose, a couple of thousand lots of 60 quid, right? Nobody is saying that, nobody's defending Sega or Sony on any level.
That's what
here.
you're doing.
No, we're not.
You're being like you've got a moral obligation to not take a game, to not play a game you downloaded totally legitimately.
Not a single
and
person.
are playing legitimate.
Not a single person has said you have a moral obligation to pay for Yakuza 6. All people are saying is, was it released for free? No.
Yes.
No, it wasn't.
It was literally released for free. The game was literally released on the PlayStation. The entire game was literally released on the PlayStation Store.
I'm not
for
having
free.
it. I'm not having it.
You're just wrong.
This.
You're just wrong.
I think this should be
Whatever.
left to the
You-
adjudicator
you-
of this panel to decide what
you
is.
stress-
People will let you know.
You're stressing out Kelsey. Sharif's about to walk out, right?
Right.
Like,
Mum and Dad are fighting. Right? It's like,
listen, right. So Connor's not going to win.
fine, yeah, whatever.
You're not going to win, right? You're not going to win for your pick. You're also not going to win for your attitude because of that, right?
You come back with this attitude, mister.
Right. So
Sit
it's
back.
between the
Enjoy.
Looker and the murder of Sonic the Hedgehog. And I feel like... Oh, that's difficult. Right. I'm going to go with... Right. I'm going to go with Sharif. Right.
Oh.
And the reason I'm going to go with Sharif is because having looked at the Looker and having looked at, not to disparage the murder of Sonic the Hedgehog, but I feel like the Looker is like, I mean, for a free game, that is really intricate. And when you look at it, you can see why it took quite a long time to get that parody.
60 years.
Like well past the Witness had been like long ejected from the cultural zeitgeist by that point. So like fair play to them for sticking with it. But clearly like a very sophisticated, 3D environments and everything. I can totally understand why it took as long to make as it did. And I feel like if this was a game that that had kind of a budget and that, had a price, I wonder if that might have, sped up the development somewhat. But obviously, it was a passion project by somebody. So, So I feel like it was a really, really thin line between them. But I think the Looker just edged it for me. And also, it stuck the boot into Jonathan Blow a little bit. So, you've got to be.
I was going to say, I was like surprised how many like good picks there are for like this topic, because like I assume like most people went straight to like free to play, like the finals, League of Legends, stuff like that.
I was looking at that stuff, but
and then when
that
you dive
stuff
a
just
bit
isn't
deeper,
super interesting to talk about.
Yeah, exactly. Because when you dive a bit deeper, there's actually some really interesting.
There's dozens of free games out there.
Initially, I went to the free section on GOG.com and I was like, right, what's here? Some good stuff in there, actually.
I did the same for itch.io and I was like, nah, it's just not quite right. It doesn't quite.
I did it on Steam and it was good for a bit. I mean, there was just so many sex games.
There is what's the... is Tom aware of the Looker? Has he played it?
Actually, that would be an interesting conversation to have with him once we're done. I think because he did get. I remember him getting properly obsessed with the Witness. I remember him having stacks of paper and wee diagrams and stuff, and we all thought he was going mental, and he was. But
I can't actually imagine him being that into a game.
I know.
Give off that impression. I think he's secretly all into that sort of stuff. He's secretly into spreadsheets.
It's weird though, isn't it? The Witness is the sort of game where if he saw one of you playing it, he'd be like, "Well, what a nerd!" But like, but he
was he into Fez?
You were sorry?
Was he into Fez?
I don't know. He might have been.
I think he probably would be if you're just the sort of person who brings out paper and
Fez is definitely
because that's what Fez did to people,
right?
Which it's funny that I also have a similar feelings about Fez and Phil Fish. I am so glad that we don't have to talk about it or him as much as we used to, because that shit used to drive me crazy as well at the time. But
well, okay. Well, I'm happy. I'm happy to declare that the Looker is the best game. That
Congratulations, Shari, on a great pick.
I can't be.
Thank you. It's been a while.
Yeah,
it has been a while. You've put all some great picks.
It's a good pick. There was a while where Sharif won every time it came on.
Exactly.
It was deeply frustrating.
Exactly.
It was very annoying.
And then Connor had a bit of a winning streak of his own recently, which is now now over.
It's now super dead,
especially after that shocking display earlier. Right, okay. Thank you very much for listening. Please leave us a 5-star review on your podcast platform of choice. We'll be back next week with the best game where a family member has ditched you. So get thinking about that. And I will now tell the rest of the team what I would have picked for this episode. If you're listening to the special paid for extended version, if you want to listen to that, go to VG247.com and click on the Support Us page for details about how to get that. But if you haven't done that, this is where we say goodbye, I'm afraid. So bye. Sorry. Bye.
Bye.